Say you're coaching a senior backend developer. 15 years in, writes clean code, the engineer other engineers go to when they're stuck. You mention AI-assisted coding, and you watch it happen. The arms cross, the jaw sets, the verdict lands before a single data point. That's not an evaluation, that's a defense. Miss it and you'll spend 6 sessions arguing code quality while the real issue never enters the room. Stay with that moment. The body moved before the mind built an argument. In Module 4, Unit 4.2, we call this pre-rational resistance. The conclusion arrives first. The reasoning gets recruited afterward. Intelligence makes it worse. The sharper the mind, the faster it builds a case for a verdict the body already reached. So 3 crisp reasons AI code is bad isn't analysis. It's a well-built defense. Why does it run that hard, that fast? Because of how technologists are formed. Working as an engineer is a role. You can change how you do it without changing who you are. Being an engineer is an identity. When those are one thing, a tool that approximates the craft isn't a productivity upgrade. It's existential. If a machine can do what I spent 15 years mastering, what does that make me? The conversation about AI is never really about AI. So, how do you tell identity threat from honest skepticism? There are tells. First, the argument keeps drifting to what AI means for them, not what AI does. Second, the whole category gets rejected before any use case is examined. Threat is wholesale. And the one I trust most, the emotional intensity doesn't match the stakes. A coding tool, not a layoff. That gap is your signal. Now suppose your client gets past that identity wall and tries AI for a month. You'd think the danger is over. It isn't. Under conservative assumptions, 67% of AI-assisted workarounds in that first month produce nothing the client can point to. 2 out of 3. 0 visible output. And yet the real trajectory for anyone who stays in long enough is 7.5 times manual baseline by month 6. Both true at once. Your client lives inside the first number, drawing conclusions about a second they never reach. The mechanism underneath isn't stupidity. It's prospect theory. Losses register about 2.25 times more intensely than equivalent gains. Picture the developer diary. Week 1, 3 tasks, all needed rewrites. Week 2, boilerplate heavy editing. Week 3, a hallucinated schema, 2 hours debugging. Week 4, 1 genuine win, a test suite in 20 minutes that would have taken half a day. 1 win, 3 losses. The emotional ledger is deeply negative even when the productivity ledger is positive. They quit a winning strategy because it felt like failure. And now they have evidence. The client who tried it and quit is more certain than the one who never tried. So what do? Once you see identity fusion and the perception trap running together, you stop arguing about AI and start coaching the person. Move 1. Name the threat. Not your diagnosis, their self-examination. I noticed you had a strong reaction before we looked at any specifics. What's that about? You're creating a pause between the reaction and the reasoning. And if the client says, I'm not reacting, the technology is just bad. That's data too. The question itself was the move. Move 2 comes later, when the client says, I tried it for a month and 2 weeks were wasted. The coach with this framework gets curious about one word. When you say wasted, what were you measuring? Then offer a comparison they already accept. If a new programming language takes 6 months to get productive in, would you write it off at week 4? You're not correcting the client. You're making the measurement window visible. Move 3 is the bounded experiment, and the design matters as much as the experiment. 5 hours. Small enough that failure costs almost nothing. Large enough for real signal. A side project, 0 stakes, no deadline, which takes the identity cost off the table. The crucial instruction: track what triggered resistance, not whether the output was good. Ask the client this directly. Can you evaluate AI code without the threat response running the show? Before I close, pause this video for a moment. Think about your most technically skilled client, the one whose identity is wound tightest around being the person who knows the answer. What happens to that self-concept when a tool starts producing answers that are sometimes good enough? That word "sometimes" is doing enormous psychological work. Okay, the resistance was never about whether they'll adapt. It's about what they'll grieve or redefine first. So here's where this leaves you. Reading IC resistance as stubbornness or technophobia gets the intervention wrong. This is identity protection, not technology skepticism. 3 moves. Name the threat, reframe the window, design a bounded experiment. Independent tools used at the client's pace. That's the IC Playbook. In the next unit, your client is a director or VP, and the resistance sounds different. We can't afford the productivity dip. They're not wrong about the dip. What they don't see is that their measurement cadence sets the floor for their entire team.